Hello, world of scrappers, recyclers, and investors. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we're talking about some of the big picture things that drive our industry. Stuff like precious metals prices, base commodity type prices, and some of the publicly traded companies that are in our world. Welcome aboard. We've got a lot to talk about today, so come on, let's dive in. Now, I want to get started today with gold because we're going to talk about the gold rally. Then we're going to shift over and talk about what in the world is going on with copper. Could it be headed into what's called a super cycle? We've got three really interesting companies out there to analyze today. Yeah, most people either love them or hate them, but they directly relate to what we do. So it's a good discussion to have. And then we're going to wrap things up by heading over to Scrapping Irish's stream. Now, remember, if you have autoplay on, you will automatically be directed to Scrapping Irish's live stream. If you don't have autoplay on, you'll get a little note that, to help you get over there easier. All right, so first up, the gold rally. What is going on with gold? All right, well, let's just go ahead and pop on over there real quick. This is the gold APMEX. Remember, I use APMEX because it is a no drama place to buy your gold and silver. Here, look at this. Look at this. This is what I like about APMEX, right? This is, if you can read it, this is a 2015 Australia half-ounce silver great hammerhead round. From the Perth Mint. And you can see what a good job APMEX does packaging these things up to send them. So it's just one of the many things that I love about APMEX. Plus, you can get, just silver rounds. You can get bullion, coins, bars, a lot of good things. And it's very safe and secure. Plus, they give us all kinds of good information. All right, so back over to gold spot price. This is the 3-month look, and you can see you can see that we are we got arrows going all over the place, don't we? So what you can see with the 3-month look is that we are definitely on a bit of a rally here, right? We're up 13.6%, depending upon when you want to look at it. Some people are calling it 15%. So we've definitely got a nice rally going on here. But if we look back at the 1-month period, we look at this 1-month period, we see things are kind of flattening out here a little bit. What's going on with this, right? What's happening there? And in the last week, you see we're only up 0.36%, right? So not 36%, but 0.36%. So there's some folks that are asking, is the rally getting stalled? Okay, now, I always like to look at this big 5-year trend here, right? Because we get to see this nice little hook up right here in the end. And we get to see what that recent price increase looks like relative to some of the recent highs going back to, say, 2020 with gold. So I did a bunch of digging this week. There's a lot of sources out there that you can go to. I did a bunch of digging, and basically what the analysts are coming down to is they're saying that there's the potential for gold to get to $2,000 an ounce, but a lot of it is going to depend on a couple of things. The Fed meeting on the 1st of February, and for those of you that are not U.S. Folks, you may not fully understand what the Fed does. There's even a lot of U.S. citizens that don't understand what the Fed does, but they control the money supply for it. Most countries have something similar to the Fed. So depending upon what the Fed does, that's going to affect inflation and therefore recession, and that's going to have a big driver on gold because it could drive people to buy more gold as a safe haven. And that, though, has to deal with consumer spending, right? Because if consumer spending doesn't pick up, then you don't need to consume as much gold and silver, by the way, and that has a negative impact, or what they call a headwind, on gold and silver. So really kind of bouncing around here, all the analysts on what's going to happen with gold. Now, as we looked before, we saw that, remember when we were looking at things like copper and aluminum and we were looking at the inventory levels, we saw that their inventory levels were pretty low. Well, gold inventory levels are pretty low as well. And so you've got the need to fill up the gold bins, if you will. And if people are buying stuff, then that, of course, drives up the cost of gold. So, there's a bunch of interesting stuff going on in the markets right now. Andrew, Scrapping Irish, Ralph, Bush Dog, Cruiser Mac, what's up, everybody? See you, Scrapping. It's great to have you all here. I'm looking forward to all your comments chiming in here as we talk about what's happening with gold. And is the rally stalled? How long is this rally going to be stalled for? What's going on? Now, it's also interesting to think about gold with respect to silver in this rally, because we always look at the two, and in fact we can go right up here. We're going to go to the gold to silver ratio. And remember, when we were talking about the gold to silver ratio before, we talked about when the gold to silver ratio is high. So remember when it was here, oops, get the right button now. So when it was here, oh, gracious me. I always get the wrong, I always get this, hit the button that makes the cursor too big. So anyway, when the gold to silver ratio was up here, high 80s, 90s, people were saying that silver was undervalued. Well, there are still some folks that are saying that silver is undervalued. In fact, some of the analysts were talking about how silver was up 21% when gold only rose 15%. Well, you know what? We can take a look at that ourselves, right? We're looking over the 3-month period. And in the 3-month period, we could see right here that, well, according to APMEX, silver only rose 15%. So I don't know why some of the analysts were saying 21%, but of course, a lot of it depends. If you looked back from this point down here, then yeah, you might get that 21%. So when you read these statements by the analysts, you got to really be careful. Check the dates, and I don't want to say fact check, but don't just necessarily believe everything. Check your numbers yourself. All right, so let's go back to the gold to silver ratio, looking at the 3-month, and it's actually been dropping, right? So when we see the gold to silver ratio dropping like that, what that's saying to me is that investors are buying up silver, because when it was up here, right? When it was up here, the investors said, hey, silver is cheap. I'm going to buy silver. I might even sell some of my gold. And that's going to bring the prices back to the norm of around 60-ish. All right. So what this is telling me is that there's people out there buying up silver. And so when people are buying up silver, then we should expect to see the silver prices increasing. Now, we all know, because we live in this world, that silver is more of an industrial metal than gold. And one of the things that I found really interesting was the amount of industrial uses that this new economy, this new energy economy, has for silver. We've talked about, we all talk about in our videos, silver contacts. Well, that's not just in the little household switches. Silver contacts are used in some of those bigger switches too. And that plays into things like solar panels and solar arrays and the big wind farms and those kind of things. Silver, because it's such a good conductor and it has such good qualities, is used in a lot of the new electronics that are coming out for cars and power stations. So, there's a lot of good opportunity for silver out there. So you might want to think about silver, because we're seeing potentially gold stalled. So this could be a reasonable time to buy some silver right now. It's not as cheap as it was, not, just a couple months, 2, 3 months ago, but it's still relatively cheap. And there are people saying that silver has the potential to get as high as $30 an ounce. So there's that's actually some pretty good potential here. Let's see, silver is at 24 right now, so you've got the potential for another $6 an ounce on silver, according to some people. All right, so it's always a little bit iffy there. The analysts also went on and talked about that silver supplies have been dropping for the last 6 years. So that's another thing to to play into consideration here, is that as the silver stocks go down, that means recycled silver is going to be even more important to have. So we got to really watch out for that. Granny, welcome. Granny Bear Scrappers, welcome. Great to have you here. All right, so how many of you all are buying gold or silver? And what's your thoughts on what you're doing with it? Prices, especially the gold prices are kind of high. So are you going to wait and see what plays out in February? You're going to try to buy some more in anticipation of it going up? I have not been buying any more. Scrapping Irish is saying gold all the way. Yeah, I think Irish has got gold flowing through his veins. Oh, then we could scrap Irish. All right, never mind. We're not going there. So I have not been buying anymore because I've just been too involved in getting my recycling business going. So I've been kind of holding off there. All right, Gaz says gold has stalled because the users are being cautious. First year since COVID, that there's no government financial help, so not overstocking. That's a good point, Gaz. Plus, China is starting to reopen, right? So there's also people that are thinking to themselves, well, let's see what's going to happen now if China is starting to consume gold and silver again. There was also, because a couple of the articles that I read talked about the price increase in gold in China as a result of them opening up and people being able to travel for the Chinese New Year's, and they wanted to be able to bring presents and things to each other, and buy some stuff. So the price of gold started rising in China because they were opening up and people were traveling. Cruiser Mac says gold for the win. Here we got Irish going gold all the way. We got Cruiser going gold for the win. I got to admit, when I was buying silver, this was here. Let's do this so you can see this. This was one of my favorite ways to buy silver. I would buy these Sunshine Mint 5-ounce bars. It's a nice, convenient size. It is not a coin, so it didn't have a huge premium. And they have this mint mark on the back and you can get this little reader thing so that you can tell if this is legitimately from the Sunshine Mint. So this was one of my favorite ways to buy silver back when I was actually buying physical silver. Oh yes, Mr. Shred has entered the game. Mike, welcome. Yeah, I don't think Mike has met a single thing that he wouldn't throw in the shred pile yet. And Ralph likes to stack brass because it's basically the same color as gold. Yeah, no, that's a good point. In fact, Ralph can even make some gold. or at least something that looks a lot like gold, right? So, all right. Well, I I suspect what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of the big investor types that are going to wait and see what happens on February 1st when the Fed makes some decisions, and then we'll see what plays out. From the long term, and this is the big thing that I'm always looking at is long term. I don't think you can go wrong having some gold and silver, and we can see. This is the one I want. We can see that, even if you look at these peaks, gold is trying to slowly go up above these peaks. So here you can see, right here, you can see what I'm talking about. Gold is trying to get above these peaks here. So I really do think that we're going to see some more action on gold, and I think I'm thinking we'll see $2,000 an ounce. I just there's enough enough confusion in the markets, enough churn that I think investors are going to keep going into gold and silver, and so I think we're gonna see that $2,000 an ounce mark. All righty. Hey, this Canadian scrapper, welcome. Great to see you. Great to have you here. Now then, enough for gold and silver. Let's talk another one of our favorite metals that is highly influenced by what's going on in the world right now. Copper. I love the way so many people say copper. It's great. Now, real quick before we talk about copper, I just want to get some disclaimers out there because I've had a couple of comments from folks since I posted my Stripmeister videos where I was getting copper from the insulated copper wire. And Kevin K commented that he has the similar model, and he loves to use it because it reduces his stress and time. Eric S has the one that has no motor attached to it, but he's attached it to his drill press. So he's got it sideways on his drill press. Man, I would love to see a picture of that. That's such a clever idea. But I really want to emphasize that stripping copper wire to get the copper really depends on how much wire you're getting, what kind of wire you're getting. That $150 generic stripper could be just good enough for what you need to do. But if you're starting to get more wire, you're getting a lot of wire, or you're getting larger wires, then going to something like the Stripmeister, any one of the Stripmeister products, is a good investment. Now, I've been testing out, hey, Board Sort, welcome aboard. I have been testing out the smaller wires, and I'm going to put some videos together stripping out the smaller wires with the E1000. So we can talk, we'll be able to share with that. But the important thing that I wanted to share with everybody is that Stripmeister has invited me to be an affiliate with them. So you will see in the descriptions on my videos, there's a link so that if you are interested in buying a Stripmeister machine, you can go to that link, and then I will get a small commission off of that, which of course I will use to put towards the Shark Scrapper Shark Adoption Project, which we are still doing, and I'm still researching how to play out the changes and what's going on there. So I felt it was important that everybody understand that I have recently become a Stripmeister affiliate. I was not an affiliate when I bought that. I was not an affiliate when I made the videos, but Stripmeister liked the videos and they've reached out to me, and now I'm an affiliate with them. All right, so keep that in mind. Trying to be as transparent as I can with folks. All right, so now copper. Let's talk copper. Everybody is forecasting copper to rise. And I don't think anybody here would disagree. If you disagree with oh, there's Eric. Hey, Eric, great to have you here. Let's see. Eric also says that he made a small wire crusher mounted to drill press too. Man, Eric, you got to get me some pictures, bud. I need to see this stuff. That just sounds cool. Okay, so copper. We're looking over here at the right here. We've got the 5-year copper spot going on right now. I did a bunch of research on this as well throughout the week. Generally, the analysts are all in agreement that copper is going to rise, and the two main things are short-term supply tightness and long-term energy transition demands. So all this new stuff is using up copper. One of the analysts was talking about how if China returns to their pre-2020 consumption rate, that's going to boost demand 500,000 tons. I mean, think about that. That's a bucket load of copper, right? And I have seen some analysts who are forecasting the price of copper to get up to $11,000 a ton. So that's what, roughly $5.50 a pound or something like that, with average prices in 2023 being around $9,750. And then in 2024 going to $12,000 a ton. Now, those are the high-end analysts, the folks that are like, they're all in, man. They're just like, man, copper's going up. It's going to the moon. And, you know, what they're looking at is what we were looking at recently when we first started talking copper. And we came down here to this. This is the London Metal Exchange copper warehouse stock levels. And we were talking about how the stock levels keep going down. Whether you connect the peaks or you connect the bases, there's always a downward trend on those lines. And the other thing that the analysts have also brought up that we have talked about here is this base, that the stocking levels keep bouncing off this base level of inventory. So you know, it's a tight one for them because they want to keep the inventory, but they're using it, right? So now, here's some interesting stuff though that's playing against being able to refill the copper coffers, if you will. And that is that two of the largest producers of copper are having some real problems, right? So in Peru, which is the world's second largest producer, they're having the worst civil unrest that they've had in 20 years. And one of the largest mines that they have, the Antapaccá, man, I have no idea how to say the name of that copper mine. Anyway, it's operating at a restricted level. I've read a few articles about it. I mean, the protesters are literally attacking the mine workers. They're burning up the vehicles and the equipment and things like that. So that is, I mean, they can't even get the copper out that they're refining, right? So they've got some serious problems. That's the world's number 2 copper producer. The world's number 1 copper producer, Chile, is forecasted to have a 6% reduction in the amount of copper that they. Andrew, I just realized Andrew Powell is here. It's 8:30 in the morning there in News. Have you gone to bed at all, Andrew, or did you stay up all night, for this? Anyway, welcome, man. It's great to have you. Get on with your day now, man. Oh, hey, before you go, Andrew, how's your dad doing? Real quick, sorry about that. Let me know how your dad's doing, man. And let's see. I also saw Bill Scrapping Together came in. Earl Fowler came in, and Adam Thompson came in. Thanks, everybody. Great to have you here. I apologize I didn't say hello when you first came in. I'm going through my notes, and I only got 2 sets of eyeballs. They don't work so well sometimes. So, all right. So back to copper. We're seeing that the inventories are going to have some problems refilling because the people that are producing copper are having some problems, and copper demand is going to go up. So, man, I'm looking for copper to really do some climbing here. You know, we've just got all of the good indicators for copper to keep going up. Um, but it really comes down to you know, how high we think copper is going to get to, right? You know, the other thing that we need to look at is the relationship between copper and what we pay for our scrap, because there's a, you know, it's not a one-to-one for the price of the copper, the spot price of the copper for the scrap, right? Because hey Simon, how you doing? Great to meet you, man. Because that copper has to be processed, things have to happen with it before it can be used, and that reduces what the what the uh, scrap yards can pay us. So yeah, I think you need to, you know, I mean, we're going to see the prices go up, and hopefully we will see that reflected in our scrap prices. Um, Roger says he got a quote for 306 for number one when he took it in. Friday, he got a quote for 347. So it went up, what, 41 cents just in a couple of days. So that's pretty cool. And I would be curious if you know, it if you're running a scrapyard, you've got to try to set your prices so that you're bringing people in, and yet you got to be able to sell it to make a profit. And so you've got this balance that you're that you're really playing around here with the copper prices. So anyway, I'm thinking it's still going up. I'm looking forward to go up. I'm saving my copper still. I've taken in a little bit, mostly to do some test prices, because I found that sometimes there's advertised prices and then there's what you actually get. So I'm going to keep most of my copper for a bit here. I'm hanging on. What are you all doing? Are you hanging on to your copper? Are you selling your copper? Are you keeping, like, you know, the 10% or 20% behind and taking in the rest in order to keep your cash flow going? What are you doing with your copper? Simon says, last week I switched to processing low-cost CRT power board supply boards for copper and aluminum. Yep. And then there were some tantalum SMDs as a bonus. Yep. Makes sense. Man, I've got, you know, Simon, I have got a bucket full of copper yokes. I really ought to get to those copper yokes. I need to smash those things up. Cruiser, wasn't it you, Cruiser, wasn't it you that put some copper yokes in a bucket and then just started smashing them with a sledgehammer or a maul or something like that? Was that you from about a year or so ago? I think I'm for some reason I think that was you, but I could have that wrong. Let's see. Adam says he's holding it. Yeah, it's not eating anything. You know, and Adam, that brings up a really important consideration. For some people, space is a challenge, and they can't keep a lot of it. You know, they just don't have the space to hang on to a lot of stuff. But copper is cool because how much space does copper really take up for a whole lot of weight, right? And especially with some of the copper wire and stuff, you can smash it down so it doesn't take up as much space. So there's some you know, copper is one of those things that you can kind of hang on to. But where people say that it's not eating anything, yeah, it depends. if you are renting, leasing space, then technically it's eating up that square footage that could arguably be used for other things. So you always got to play that balance of, is this the best use of that square footage if you're paying for that square footage, right? I would argue that right now it's worth hanging on to. Okay, Cruiser says it was fluorescent sockets. Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha, man. Yeah, so I think that should be a fun video. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll smash up some copper yolks. See what comes out of that. That could be a lot of fun. So let's see. Earl, if you freeze the yolks, they come apart easier. Yeah, okay. I don't have a very big refrigerator at the shark cage, so, and it's not going to get that cold here in Florida again anytime soon. So, yeah, I may just have to deal with the fact that they won't be frozen, that they'll be in there in the 60s and 70s. So, yeah, I got to think about this. This could be a lot of fun. Smashing up some yolks. You know what? Even if it doesn't really work the way we want it to, it could just be a lot of fun to smash up some yolks, huh? All right. Enough about copper. Let's get jamming on to some other cool things to talk about. Now, we always do a safety tip. The safety tip that I want to talk about today is hearing protection. And yeah, this doesn't count. Okay, I know there's a lot of people. That's like the cheapest hearing protection that you're ever going to buy, right? Go ahead and stick it in your fingers. Yeah, you really want to, if you're using especially power tools, loud power tools, you want to have either the cups that go over your ears or the foamy inserts, or both, depending upon how loud something is. Remember that there are actually two types of noise that can damage your ears. The first one is the loud shock impact type of noise, the bang from a gun, that kind of thing. And then there's the long, just loud, protracted noise that can degrade our hearing in certain frequency bands. Now, a bunch of us are old enough that we've already lost a certain amount of our hearing anyway, and we get these tests. It was one of the things when I retired from the Navy, I went in and had a bunch of hearing tests because we are routinely exposed to. Yeah, all right, Roger. I knew somebody had to do that. When you're in the military, of course, you're exposed to a lot of both of those sound events, the loud explosion and the protracted noise at certain frequencies. So they do a very careful test with us on our way out the door to decide how bad our hearing is. I hate that. I hate that frickin' hearing test. It's almost as bad as the peripheral vision test. The both of them drive me freaking nuts, right? In the hearing test, you sit in this closed booth and you've got this little thing and you're like, oh, did I hear that? Yeah. Oh, but oh, no, wait a minute. No, I didn't hear it. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, did I hear that? It drives me freaking nuts, right? They do a similar thing with vision because I've had my eyes worked on a lot. You stick your head in this round booth kind of thing, and you're supposed to look straight ahead at a dot and then click this thing whenever you see a little light dot around the periphery, and they're trying to measure your peripheral vision and if you have any blind spots. And again, it's like, man, your brain just starts going freaking nuts on you. It's like, did I see that? It's like, maybe I should just do this, And I was talking to one of the technicians. I was like, well, what if I just, randomly click this thing? And they said, yeah, no, the algorithm is smart enough to figure that out. So, yeah, it's those two tests drive me nuts, man. I tell you, it kills me. All right, let's move on from hearing because I think we beat that deaf horse enough. Oh my gracious. I kill myself sometimes. All right, our stock market picks of the day these are going to be a lot of fun here. All right, I'm really looking forward to the comments on these stock market picks. I had some good ones to choose from in this edition of the Investment Trader. Remember, I use a source that does not take any advertising, so it's all just straight data and analysis of the data with no relationship to the investors at all. Remember, I'm also a very boring investor. All I'm trying to do is get some reasonable dividends, preferably 3-4% or more, at a reasonable buy-in level. And the way I do that is that a company has to have either increasing earnings per share, cash flow per share, or preferably dividends per share every year for the last 17 years. All right, so the first company that we are going to take a look at is Snap-on. How many people have seen these trucks? These trucks are freaking everywhere, especially where I'm at in a light industrial area. The truck shows up, I think, every day, going to visit different shops, because you can rent to buy, you can lease to own, you can borrow the tool to test it out. Snap-on has got some really cool ways that they promote their business with mechanics, and it's a franchise type of opportunity, right? So if you're really into tools, you could get a Snap-on franchise. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm talking about the stock. So what we can see for Snap-on, their ticker is SNA, and their yield is 2.8% as of the 6th of January. And that's on a, oh my God, $227.74. Okay, I don't know about any of you, but I can't afford that. That's not a happening one for me. Hey, Jose, great to see you there, man. Welcome aboard. Yeah, $227. Holy bajoli. I imagine there's folks out there that can afford it. I'm not one of them. But hey, look, they are qualified right here. If you take a look at their dividends per share, all the way for 17 years, they have increased them with the exception of this one time frame right here where they were flat, right? So right here, 08 to 09, they were flat, which is good, given that 08, 09 impacted a lot of tradesmen. You would have thought it would have been worse than that, but they held their dividends flat in order to take care of their investors. So if you want to see what that looks like on the graphical perspective, we'll just roll this on up here. And we can see right here, the blue line is the cash flow per share. The green line is the earnings per share. And then the yellow or gold line is the dividends per share. And you can see that they've been doing a good job. Here's that 08 to 09 ink. Here's 08 to 09, and their cash flow went down, as you might imagine. The earnings went down, as you might imagine, but they kept the dividends flat. And I hit the wrong button on the dots again, didn't I? And then if we look up here, we've got the 19 to 20. Gee, what happened there? Yeah, we know what happened there. And again, they were hit hard. Companies shut down. They weren't buying tools. They didn't need tools. So they got hit hard there too. But again, they kept their dividends in the right direction. So I'm curious because I know that some of you actually are working in, in industries where you're using some unusual tools or pretty heavy duty tools and stuff like that. How many of you own Snap-on tools? Have Snap-on tools? I have a couple, but it's because I found them. I didn't. I don't think I could even afford to buy the tools, much less stock in the tools. Yeah, JR Cat, thanks for pointing that out, because there may be some folks that don't, some of our overseas folks that don't know that Snap-on is a high-end tool manufacturer. So yeah, thank you, JR Cat. I appreciate that. Okay, so now that's Snap-on tools. So we're talking tools, and if we're going to talk about tools, we have to talk about another one of the tool companies that a lot of people either love or they hate or they love to hate, Stanley Black & Decker. I can just hear some of the brains going crazy there right now. Oh, Simon says, I use the same type local company, Dnipro M. Okay, cool. All right. Cruiser Mac, Snap-on toolbox cost $10,000. Holy cow. Oh, man. I hope it had tools in it. All right. All right. Hey, JCT, welcome, man. Great to have you here. All right. So Stanley Black & Decker. Yeah, let's do a little talking about Stanley Black & Decker. Their ticker symbol, by the way, if you're interested, is SWK, and their yield is 4.4%. So that is something that I am interested in. And this is what I like even better. They're really not that expensive. $74 a share, very reasonable entry point for a good quality stock that is offering a 4% yield. Now, they were not qualified in the cash flow per share, because you can see they have these reds here, and they were not qualified in their earnings per share, but they are qualified in the dividends. In fact, they are div zero, so they had no strikes whatsoever. And let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like graphically here. We can see what's going. We can see this. We had some nice increases going out to. Oops, let's click the right button here, dummy. We had some nice general upward trend all the way up until the COVID hit. Then it crashed, and now it's starting to come back up again. Again, all the tool companies took some hits during COVID because the factories were shut down, the mechanics were shutting down. I mean, just everything was shutting down, and real challenges there. So, they all took some hits. They've had to reset. But what was really cool was they've kept their dividends on a pretty good high, almost a straight line trajectory. Look at that. That says that they're interested in taking care of their investors. This is another important part here that Roger just brought up. They own DeWalt, and some of you noticed that my tools are DeWalt's. So there's a linkage there that I like. And if you look at the change from year to year, this is just that same. These are the trends, but it's just looking at the change from year to year. And you can see that the dividends, these gold bars, are always above the zero line. So they are definitely a stock to consider. In fact, I am actively considering maybe making some investments in them. Again, because I own a bunch of DeWalt tools, I'm thinking, it's like I am helping to fund myself when I buy DeWalt tools, when I buy Black & Decker tools, if I own some of the stock, like I talked about with Coca-Cola. I love to drink Coca-Cola, so I own some shares in Coca-Cola because that way it just makes it seem like the Coke that I'm drinking isn't as expensive. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of silly. So Stanley Black & Decker, they're all over the place, and their brands, they've got different brands that are all over the place. So I can imagine that there are some of you that have seen them. Yep, Craftsman. And it's interesting because it used to be that if you went into here in the United States, if you went into a Sears, you were buying Craftsman tools because they essentially, they would give you a new tool. If you broke one of those tools, they would give you a new one. And I can remember a while back back when Sears was still an ongoing and a big department store. I brought in a Craftsman screwdriver, and I had found it. Right, I didn't even buy it. And the guy said, "Yeah, no problem." I mean, I was straight up with him. I said, "Look, I don't own this thing, but I found it, and this, it's broken." And he said, "Yeah, here you go." I think they may have changed their policies, so we'll see. Oh, Cruiser Max. See, I knew there was going to be somebody. I knew there was going to be somebody that was going to be in the hate category here, right? And that's okay, Cruiser. I'm cool with that, right? I've actually bought a couple of. When you say red or dead, I'm assuming you mean Milwaukee. So I've actually bought a couple of Milwaukees because I want to see what you all are all about here, right? Because I know there's some of you that are like, no, I'm never doing DeWalt, never doing yellow. I'm not going yellow. Got to go red. So I'd say it's cool, Cruiser. I'm okay with that. Like I said, like I've always said with this live stream, I don't mind people disagree with me. We'll be respectful with each other. We can disagree. And I am looking at the Milwaukee's. It's hard to do a side by side kind of comparison because one of the things that I have found when I watch some of these channels where people compare the tools with each other, it's like they don't have it's not a real world kind of test. They try the best they can. Here's how fast it screwed in this thing, and here's how long the battery lasted when we were cutting this thing and stuff. But the challenge is that we really abuse our tools, especially in the scrapping and recycling world, right? They're getting dropped, they're getting kicked around. It's just all kinds of stuff that we're due to them. And what I think would be interesting would be to kind of, if there would be some way to do some real world comparisons on the difference of the tools. I don't know. Got to think about that. But anyway, Cruiser, I do have a Milwaukee, so we're going to see what Cruiser says. Consult me before buying any tools in the future. Yeah, I think okay, and thank God nobody came up and said Makita, because I think I would have had to. I don't know. My brain would have exploded. Yeah. Yeah. Bush Dog. Yeah, I haven't seen a Sears store in years in Alberta. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on with Sears. Might be something worth looking at. Maybe I'll take a look at that. We can, if I remember, we can talk about it next week. But I think Sears, I think they shut down all the stores. Adam says Sears shut down in Kentucky. I don't know if I got to look because I haven't seen a Sears in forever. And the last time I went in a Sears a few years ago, man, it was on the way down bad. So anyway, Cruiser says they're gone. And Roger says if he remembers right, they went. I know they filed for bankruptcy. I do remember they filed for bankruptcy. Part of that probably would have been shutting down all the stores. So I wonder if they might even have like an online anyway going on. Hey, Ian, great to see you here, man. Welcome to the stream. Oh, somebody had to say it. You had to say it, didn't you, JCT? Huh? Oh, man, there's one in every crowd, I tell you. All right, the last company we're going to talk about here We're actually going to shift away from the tools because, yeah, I know that that was a hard one for everybody. There was a lot of emotional going ons there. So I appreciate everybody keeping your emotions in check as we talked about yellow versus red when it comes to tools. This next company, if you haven't heard of this company, then I really think that there's something wrong. You've not just been living under a rock, you're buried under one. We are talking now about 3M. I imagine most of you know that 3M started as a mineral company, right? Minnesota Mining and Minerals, right? They were mining grit, and they, for sandpaper. And one of the things that I really love about 3M is that they have always been dedicated to ongoing research. I believe the number that I saw was 15% goes to R&D, and that's not just money, but that the people that work there, the engineers and the researchers, the scientists, they've got to spend a certain amount of their time doing research and development into new products. So we all know 3M, right? You got the little Post-it note things. You've got tape. It's like 3M has got all kinds of diversified products, and that's why they're in what's called the diversified company. So let's talk about 3M real quick because this is, a real nice dividend, 5%. That one really gets my attention. This is the challenge for me. $120 a share. Hey, Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate that, sir. Very nice of you. So $120 a share. God, man, it's like, I get it. I'm going to get 5% off of that. And so, maybe I ought to just slowly start building up a position in that company, right? Because if I do save up, and start buying some of that stock slowly over time, I'm going to be getting more money from it. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's like the math makes sense to me. I get the math, but that's still a pretty good slug of money to have to fork out, right? So, anyway, let's get back to it though. We're talking about this company. We're seeing how they rate for us. So we're looking here. They have they are not qualified in cash flow per share because they had this, they went down here, they went down here, they went down here. We only allow one downturn or one flat. They're not qualified for earnings because they went down here, here, but they are qualified for dividends because for the last 17 years, their dividends have always gone up. So, this is there's some really nice things to consider here with 3M. We're going to take a quick look at it graphically because I know oops, there we go. Graphically is always a little bit easier for folks to grasp, myself included. And you can see that even though they've got a little bit of churn going on with those ups and downs, they are generally moving up all along. All 17 years, the cash flow, the earnings are generally going up. And then, of course, as we saw, the dividends are always going up. And you can really see that when you look at the year-to-year change graphically, you can see that even when they've had some down years for their cash flow or their earnings, they have still kept all of their dividends going up every year. So 3M is one of those companies that gets my attention as a potential investment because this 5%, is a really nice dividend. 3M is one of those companies that I understand. I get it. They're going to be around for a long time, and I would be very comfortable investing in them. And I just got to get myself used to the idea of spending $120 a share. So yeah, I'm giving that one some real serious thought. 3M had been one of the best data storages for 3.5, for 2.5 floppies, VHS. Yeah, man, I remember a lot of that, and I see those things, as I'm picking stuff up. So I still, you still see them out there. So yeah, 3M, they're all over the place. All right, well, I hope. Man, I hope that opened your eyes to some really good potentials for any of your investment considerations. Man, I'm just I got to give some thought to that 3M thing. I really do. So, how about y'all? Any of those stocks got your interest? What do you think about that $120 a share? I mean, God, are you willing to pay $120 a share in order to get 5%? Yeah, I don't know. I really want to. I want to get the 5%. So, but here's the other thing about 3M. And hey, Fishing Frustrations UK, welcome. Great to have you here. Nice to see you back. So here's the thing about 3M. 3M also, they deal a lot in plastics, right? A lot in plastics. And we know as scrappers that, hey, Silver Scorpion, great to see you. Thanks for popping in. We know that as scrappers, we're constantly dealing with plastic, right? You've got the plastic shells that PCs are wrapped in. You've got the plastic insulation that is on the copper wire that we're stripping. You've got plastic on a lot of the just consumer grade kind of stuff, even the tools we're using, right? And I'm not trying to bash plastic here because let's face it, plastic is really, really important to our modern lifestyle. It's lightweight. It is sanitary. You couldn't have water bottles, right? Like this, that you could take on the road with you necessarily at this kind of convenience. Now, I use a stainless steel thermos and a stainless steel coffee mug for the road. I just grab this in order to have something to use as a to hold up and show plastics, right? But as much as plastics are necessary evil for us, there's a lot of bad things that plastics do if they're not properly handled. And that's one of the biggest issues is that, we're generating a lot of plastics and we're not dealing with them properly. I saw a number back in 2016. We were generating 242 million tons of plastic on the planet, and the number is only going up every year since. That was just a number that was a good solid number that's been verified a couple of times. So we're generating bucket loads of plastic. It takes hundreds to thousands of years for plastic to degrade in the environment. When people say that they recycle plastic, most of the companies that recycle plastic, what they mean is they're turning it into some other plastic thing. And one of the challenges with plastics, especially when you're recycling plastics, is that if you take what they call long chain plastics, where the chemical chain of that polymer is got a lot of stuff hanging on it. Frequently, what you can do is break it into smaller chains that then create some new object. But that's not recycling, right? Well, yeah, it is recycling. Well, is it recycling? Well, that's where you kind of get into this. Yeah, it's recycling, but you're not getting rid of the plastic. You're reusing the plastic. Well, that's what recycling is, right? We're just using it for something else. I would much rather see the plastic get turned into some other plastic thing than it go into a landfill or, worse yet, just end up out in the ocean somewhere. Hey, Ulrich, no worries, man. You're always welcome. You're always welcome, even if it's right at the end. Um, so yeah, and one of the things that I also thought was interesting when I was looking at these statistics is that only 9% of the world's plastic is recycled. Think about that. Only 9%. And then the rest of it is either, goes into landfills, is not being properly handled at all. Um, it's just a really ugly situation. But we're going to talk about this more over on Scrapping Irish's channel. If you have autoplay activated, then when I end this broadcast, we're going to go right over to Scrapping Irish's. If you don't, you will probably get, hey, Poos mate, we're getting ready to head over to see Scrapping Irish. So we will be seeing you all over there. If you don't have autoplay activated, then you'll get a little note that, that'll give you a link to go over there. And if none of that works, go make sure you go just, go at Scrapping Irish and join us over there, because we're going to talk more about plastics over with the Scrapping Irish. I'll see you all over there. Thank you for dropping in.